Welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined by an irritable and aggravated Johnny Paulus. Johnny, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Why is that? Why are you just okay?
Thursday on my lunch break, I was out of vape juice and I decided to buy a bottle of 0 milligram vape juice. So it is essentially flavored juice with 0 nicotine at all. And since that moment, I have not ingested nicotine in my body. And it is now Sunday at almost 11 p.m. So we're at like 80 hours plus of 0 nicotine. So I feel like I'm already kind of over the hump. Like this morning, I woke up a lot less irritable than I was Saturday morning. So like that's a plus. But I am a little concerned about like being at work tomorrow and like somebody pissing me off and not being able to go ingest nicotine. That's going to be a problem. And I'm just afraid I'm going to snap at somebody. So I've just decided that I've nicotine has had me in its clutches for far too long. And I gotta cut the cord.
Ever since I've known you. Yes.
Yeah.
With no breaks in between, really.
Nope.
Well, that's wonderful news.
So this is my nicotineless flavored stuff.
Yeah, that part's interesting. I'm like, I would never think just to go to 0. I would just, try and break the ritual completely.
Well, my thought process was because I mean, you're right. It is both things. When you're trying to quit nicotine, there is the nicotine factor, but there's also the oral fixation, having something to do while you're driving your car, having something to do while you're sitting on the couch watching a TV show. You just get used to the routine of that. And so my thought process was, instead of taking both of those away, I just go, okay, but if I stop putting nicotine in, I'm still going to wake up in the morning and grab my vape and take a hit. I'm still going to get in the car and I'm going to take a hit. And my thought process would be, at some point within a few weeks, right, my body's going to figure out, they're like, oh, this is just a thing that we're doing, that we're not addicted to it. You know what I mean?
It just tastes kind of nice.
It just tastes kind of nice, and it's something, it's a break in the day. But yeah, that's my thought process. It's been 0 nicotine for 3 days. I've looked at all the symptoms for nicotine withdrawal, and I've got just about all of them. I'm like lethargic and trouble focusing and irritable, and yeah, I've got it all. I just want to sleep or smoke a cigarette the size of a soda can. Those are the two things that I want to do right now. But no, I think I really am going to kick it this time. I'm including everyone in what I'm doing. I've told all of my coworkers that these are my plans, so I'm going to try to stick to it this time.
Please don't be the guy at Johnny's work that fucks something into eternity tomorrow.
Please. Please.
Because Angry Johnny is always, to me at least, it's always funny.
Yeah.
But to people that don't know him as well, it's very scary.
Facts.
Yes, because I've seen you lose your cool like a handful of times, like where you just go completely off the deep end angry, and it takes a lot. Like I would think anyone listening to the show for a while can tell that of the two of us in particular, I'm the one who runs hotter. Like,
yes,
1,000,000%.
Yes,
and I wear my emotions on my sleeves a lot more than Johnny does. So yeah, when somebody pisses me off, I just burn them to a crisp immediately.
Facts.
And Johnny does not.
No, I'll sit there and eat shit for days if I could just avoid the confrontation. I'll just like whatever. But if eventually,
what happens is it all goes into a bucket.
It does. It absolutely
does. It just
does.
builds and builds.
Yes.
So like when I'd get pissed with someone, I never like went like crazy mad. I would just be kind of like shitty to them, and because I just let it out immediately. Johnny's the type, and I'm sure many of you listening are as well, that it all goes into a bucket, and that shit collects interest over time.
It does. It does. Yes, it does.
And I forget who it was at Guitar Center when we worked there that you just went fucking nuclear on. And it took like a year.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name in guitar? Well, we shouldn't say his name, but he worked in the guitar department. I can't remember the kid's name, but just showing up late, not doing his work, fucking taking 2-hour lunch breaks and stuff, and it just overtime, and then finally I saw that office door slam shut, heard the lock click from like 20 feet away in front of the door.
Bro, if I locked the door, it's fucking over.
And then I'm just like, there's going quick. Somebody turn on a guitar amp and start playing because everyone's about to hear this.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, slight difference. So maybe your bucket has a hole in it now. And
I'm really hoping that nobody really tests the fuck around and find out button for the next week or so.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That would be good.
Yeah, I am heading off to Ocean City just for an overnight thing tomorrow. My brother's 40th birthday.
Sweet.
Is at the end of this month, but we're gonna do the thing now before everybody goes back to school. So hang out on the beach a little bit, eat some food, have to get grottos while we're there, have to play Viking golf.
Amen.
The essentials when you're in Ocean City, Maryland. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a good time. And with it being a Monday and Tuesday, we really shouldn't have traffic or
it should be chill. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy amounts of people there.
Yeah,
hopefully
it should be pretty chill.
So we'll see. Today I did encounter crazy amounts of people heading in that direction because today I finally let go of the obnoxiously huge and seldom ever used anymore racing simulator. It is gone. It has been rehomed, and I feel good about it.
How pumped was that guy?
He was fairly pumped. Okay, and then I started explaining to him how to put everything back together.
Yeah.
And it looked like I ran him over with a fucking freight train.
He's gonna have that shit in pieces for a month.
Like, you better start taking notes, dude. These silver bolts, they're for the chair and the stand. These black bolts, yeah, they're for the base of the TV stand. These black bolts are for the top that holds the crossbar that holds the TV.
Yeah, at least bust out your phone, just like videotape it. That'd be enough, right?
And so I gave him the manuals and shit, but I know I'll probably get a message some point tomorrow of, well, I hooked all this stuff up and plugged it into my PC and it doesn't work. And you have to go, well, did you read the manual? No. Right. Okay. You got to switch the mode from the blue light to the red light, never the purple light. You need to install Fanatec software before you plug it into your PC and calibrate it because who knows?
Yeah.
And, he'll be fine.
It's the most common mistake people make with like specialty computer hardware is they just take it and plug it in. Like, dear God, please don't do that.
No. Fortunately, I
always download the drivers first.
Yeah. Fortunately, I calibrated the whole thing meticulously, and it saves on the actual wheelbase.
Oh, that's good.
So okay, he should be okay. If you don't do that though, you could plug it into your PC, go in a game, and it thinks the brake pedal's down 100% the entire time.
Oh my God!
You're like, why can't I go forward? Why am I just doing burnouts? Or the opposite, the gas is just stuck to the floor, and then you have no brake. It's like, why am I killing everybody?
Yeah, no, either one's bad. Either one of those is bad.
But I made out really, really good in that deal because, I've had that system for 6 years, something like that. And the technology has just advanced so far forward. Like, you can't even buy ones that are built that way anymore. Right. And I got a lot of my money back.
That's awesome.
I think because I just sold it as a complete set,
right,
versus the individual components.
Yep.
So pretty excited. I've got a fistful of money to blow on something fun.
Heck yeah.
So you know what that'll turn into, a bass guitar of some sort. But we shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's episode 129 of your Power Gamer podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by Don't Piss Off Johnny Paulus and
That's right.
0 milligram juice. It's actually brought to you by absolutely no one. We put on the show for completely free, so we would appreciate if, wherever you are listening to this for free, you scallywag, you show us some sign of support, whether that's leaving a nice review on Spotify or iTunes or whatever podcast service you're listening to us on. If you're watching us over on YouTube, smash that like and subscribe button.
That's right.
We'd greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of the show. We're going to start off this week the same way we always do, by first talking about the games we've been playing. Logically here, it seems to make the most sense if I go first this week, because we've got some neat things to talk about in your games.
Okay.
And mine are quick. I'm still playing Disney Illusion Island. It's still fantastic. I'm probably at the 75% mark now.
Nice,
Maybe me
almost
and Amy
done.
will beat it tomorrow at the hotel. Who knows? That could happen. Tactics Ogre Reborn. I'm still playing that and still having a great time. Admittedly, I haven't had as much time to put into it as I probably would have wanted to, because I've been like crazy stressed out with work and shit lately. So we'll see. But trucking along in it, probably around the 25%-ish mark on that game. It's a lot of fun. Although very hardcore. So, if you want to play a tactics game and have like a ton of story and things to entertain yourself with, stick with triangle strategy. If you just want a hardcore tactics game, Tactics Ogre is probably the way to go.
Cool.
Finally, Evil West. I finished Evil West. Now I have some interesting points to talk on with Evil West, because immediately upon completing it, quick recap of previous weeks of discussing it. Johnny played it single player and had a decent time. I played the entire thing co-op, and it's the buggiest fucking mess on the planet Earth. And so immediately upon completing it, I remembered that good friend of the show, Mikaran, had also played this game co-op. And so I shot her a message and I said, basically, hey, I just finished playing Evil West co-op. What did you think about the game? Because I knew she played it co-op.
Right.
And she said, oh, it was fine, even though it was a buggy mess, because I played it co-op. And so I dug in a little deeper. I'm like, okay, so is this like a known thing? Like the co-op version of this game is just complete ass, but it works fine single player. And she said, yeah, that's a thing.
Got it.
So, Evil West. This is a hard game to rate then, because I have to be objective now.
Yeah.
And can't just be petty, because it was crap for me. Looking at the actual story of Evil West, it's nothing spectacular, but it is serviceable. It is decent. There are okay characters in the game. And it gives them enough time to shine that you somewhat care about them.
Yep.
But not super care. It's very predictable as well.
Yes.
Like if you've ever watched anything, you could probably predict everything that happens in this game. The actual combat mechanics are interesting. There's almost too much shit to do with too many different systems. I will say, like with Mandy, I kept saying, like, we're like back into the game, almost done, and I'm like, like if you push triangle, like he does a shock and drops everyone to their knees. It's like, oh no, I didn't know that. I'm like, I felt like I was the only person doing that. Because you've got all these different guns that all suck in different ways, because none of them are really effective at anything. Despite the machine gun that you get for like the last 2 hours of the game, that takes about a year to reload. So it's got ups and downs in the combat. The combat's very repetitive, and you know every single time you're going to get into a fight because there's these weird, conveniently cut out combat arenas in the game.
Yep.
So, like, you already know, like, if the space you're in is, oh, this is a hallway that I'm just going to walk through. And then you get to the end and it's push button to enter. And you're like, this is obviously going to be a combat arena. It's very predictable. The other thing through just normal progression, it does thankfully have auto saving. It, however, doesn't have anything other than auto saving, which is obnoxious. Granted, the points aren't super far apart from each other, but sometimes, like when you're like, oh, I just finished X, this is a great spot to put down the game. To figure out if you've even saved, you have to go into the pause menu, and then you have to look to see when was the last time the game saved. And inexplicably, every time that you do this, it's going to say like 8 minutes ago, and you're like, well, what the fuck do I have to do to get to the next checkpoint? I just killed like all this shit.
Yep.
And then incidentally, you have to run around for the next 2 minutes, so you don't have to repeat the painfully boring fight that you just got done with. And so the game is on its best day as a single player experience. It's a very average game, which I think is how you scored it, basically, Johnny.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was like a 7 or something from you,
7
7.5.
something, yeah. Yep.
So we have that side of the picture of Evil West.
Yep.
The other side of Evil West is the co-op. And the co-op is complete and utter fucking garbage. It's bad. It's really bad. For whatever reason, playing the game in co-op introduces a whole slew of bugs, from your character flying off 300 feet up in the air like Superman just to calmly descent back down while your teammate gets their ass pummeled by everything on the screen because you're off flying in outer space. To the game wanting it, almost feeling like there was a timer anytime you paused the game that was set at 30 seconds, and if you stayed in the menu for 30 seconds, the game would crash. Like, you could almost set a clock to it. Just random hard crashes while you're just walking around doing stuff. Anytime two characters would go and hit the same walk into next area thing, it would feel like the game was going to explode. And then furthermore, for being co-op, you both play as the exact same Jesse. Which is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were done with that in Halo 1, where you both play as Master Chief.
Yeah.
Because they had that sorted in Halo 2, where one was Arbiter and one was Master Chief. So
Right.
we went back to 2000, basically, with this game. It's bad. It's unforgivably bad. So if I average out what the two experiences of this game are, complete, broken, almost unplayable, miserable crap, and just average on its best day, this game, for me, gets a 5.5, which I think is very fucking generous.
Right.
So it's a 5.5. It's a complete pass. Don't waste your time with this game, especially if you're going to play it co-op. If you are going to play it single player because you have absolutely nothing better to do with the next 10 hours of your life, go for it, but try and not pay for that experience. That wraps me ever talking about Evil West ever again on the show.
Fair enough. Until they announce Evil West 2.
Good grief. Yes, hope.
All right, so
they can only do better, honestly. So.
Right. So the games that I've been playing this week, number one, after rocking out Curse of the Dead Gods, and Mike pointing out that they have a new game in early access called Ravenswatch, I went on Steam and I scooped up Ravenswatch for $20. It's made by Pastech Games, same team that did Curse of the Dead Gods. And the game's not fully out yet, right? It's still just early access. But I fire up the game, I install the game, I load it in, and I have absolutely no idea what's happening. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. It felt like I was dropped into a League of Legends game where other people hadn't connected yet. I don't know how else to describe it. There was like a block map. There were items on that map that I could go do, but the feathers that I was spending when I died were apparently shared among my team, but there was no one else on my team. So clearly I'm missing something here, but I just went, okay, well, I just spent $20 on this, and it's not anything like Curse of the Dead Gods. I can confirm that. Graphically, it's pretty similar. But as far as like game style, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And then on the other side of the coin, the System Shock remake is actually on sale right now, and that's one that is on my fantasy list. I am excited to play. So I'm going to go ahead and refund Ravenswatch. So this is not me saying this is a pass for everybody. This is not me saying that what I played was bad. I thought it ran very well. I thought it was very smooth. But sometimes with these early access games, if you're not there from the beginning, you don't know what the fuck is happening. And there's not a real tutorial. Like, it's not like I fired up and was like, hey, welcome to, here's how this game works. You need to do this in order to do that. And then once you've done that, then clearly you can do this. And then congratulations, you beat level 1. It doesn't have any of that. It let me pick what character and then was like, cool, I'm running around killing stuff. And I don't know if, does it end? Does it not end? What am I supposed to do? And it's not a great standing point to be playing a game and have no idea what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. So past that games, I will probably scoop your game right back up once it's like actually out. So again, sorry I got my refund, but I did scoop up the System Shock remake. I don't really have much to say about, I played the demo before and I'm kind of caught up to where I was in that demo. I will reiterate that I love what they've done with the art style of this game. This game downloads, I think it was only 3 gigabytes. And a lot of the textures, when you look at them up close, they're very old school, early 3D games sort of textures. But they put this like blanket of really cool bloom effects and nice shadows and like the way the light illuminates the game. Some aspects of the game look very, very modern, while others look very old school. What was the survival game that kind of was like that? It was almost like Rust, but you were running around chopping down trees and building encampments. Everybody was going hard as fuck on this game. Valheim. Valheim had a very similar graphic thing where when you stopped and looked at something, it seemed blocky and pixely, but the game in motion is actually really kind of pretty. The System Shock remake has very much that going on. Again, I haven't gotten far enough into it to really comment beyond what I'd said before, but that was where I went with my Ravenswatch refund money. On top of that, my wife and I continue to rock our way through Baldur's Gate 3. My monk, I've now gone the Way of Shadows, I think is what it's called, which is sort of like a stealthier monk. And I have different disengage spells. I have dash spells where jumping no longer costs bonus actions. So my monk will, if all of a sudden like that we're in combat and there's 2 enemies way the fuck up there, 50 feet away, lobbing fireballs at them, my monk will be up there killing one and then pushing the other one off, killing him as well. So I'm having a lot of fun with my monk. Megan Sorcerer is coming along very well. She's a sorcerer with multiple warlock spells. And we just got the new demon character. Her name is Karlak. She's the big beefy woman that all the nerdy weebs are fucking losing their lunch over and want to get stepped on. She's awesome. I love her character, so I think she's probably going to make the roster. I just got to figure out who's not going to be there anymore. As much as I love Lyzelle's functionality, I like her flexibility as a fighter. She can kind of use any weapon in any situation. Her survivability is really nice, but as a character, she's kind of like having a Klingon on your team, you know. Good in a fight, but otherwise like kind of prickly, kind of a bitch to everybody on the team. So I think I'm probably going to switch it up and have Karlak on the team. But now my wife and I are completely hooked on this game. The split screen co-op of it all is great. For anyone wondering how the hell are they doing split screen co-op, it's not out on PS5 yet. I'm just using a Steam Link, and it works great. So I have the Steam Link to the TV, and my wife and I, excuse me, just have the Xbox controllers. Excuse me again. Is there going to be a third, or is that it? I think that's it. But Baldur's Gate 3 is just, it continues to blow me away. The flexibility of the things that you can do continue to impress me. I figured out earlier today that you can take alchemist fire and bombs and gunpowder and stuff them all into a bag and then throw that bag at the feet of enemy players and ignite it with a fireball, and every one of those individual items will cause damage, will create damage. So I've heard there is a way you can kind of cheese any fight. If you have a bag with enough explosive shit in it, you can just throw it at their feet and set it on fire, and it will probably kill them.
Awesome.
And I just love that they left the game where, because Dungeons and Dragons is like that, Teams will outsmart the dungeon master and go, oh, well, I'm going to do this and cast that on that. And the dungeon master goes, oh, fuck, I didn't think about that. All right, we'll roll. And then they roll and boom, there it is. Baldur's Gate 3 really does kind of feel like Dungeons and Dragons in that very chaotic, you walk up to a group and you could either say the wrong thing and murder every last one of them, or you could say the right thing and they're at your camp hanging out the next time you see them. And this game is very much like that. And I'm in fucking love with this game. It's really, really, really special. And lastly, id Software did it again. QuakeCon just happened, and they essentially did what they did with Quake II. And what I mean by that, for anybody that's not aware, I think it was 2 years ago, I believe, on Quake 1, they just said, here's a free upgrade to Quake 1. And it now has split-screen co-op and split-screen deathmatch, and we've added online lobby browsing right within the game, which, back in the day, you used to have to use a server browser program to decide what server Quake was going to connect to. They've now built all of that in. And then on top of that, with Quake 1, they released Machine Gun Games, one of the developers that do all the Wolfenstein games, did a whole episode of levels for Quake. Well, they did the same thing with Quake 2. So now Quake 2 is here with 4-player co-op or split-screen deathmatch. Online multiplayer browser right within the game. They've remastered everything. You can add lighting effects and bloom effects and anti-aliasing, and really the game holds up pretty well when you turn those settings up. And the most impressive thing about all of this is that it's free. If you already own Quake 2, if you bought Quake 2 on Steam 12 years ago, or you picked it up on a Steam sale, it's already there. And if you don't already own it, there are plenty of online stores where you can buy it right now for $4 or $5. If you don't even want to do that, you can just go on the PlayStation Store. I think it's 10, something like that, for Quake 2 full blown. Now, not only is it the entire game and both of the DLC packs for Quake 2, it also has, same as Quake 1, an additional entire fleet of episodes designed by Machine Gun Games. So this is like Quake 2 times 2 for free. This is how you do remasters. You go, you've bought this game, you already own this game, here's a massive fucking update with all the shit that you wish that it would do. And it still feels like Quake 2. It still runs like the way you remember it. You can pick it up, and you can even go into the video settings and make it look like it used to back in the day. You still own that. They didn't take that away. They didn't, lock away the source code into a vault like a lot of these companies do. No, it's all there. If you own the original Quake 2, you can still play stock Quake 2. You can still play Quake 2 with ray tracing, or you can play the new Quake 2 where it's the whole game and all the DLC and dude, I fired it up and hopped into a 8-person free for all death match and had a fucking ball for like an hour. You can't fucking beat that. It's amazing, and I'm so happy that id Software continues to do this. And man, all I can hope now is, does this mean they're going to do the same thing with Quake 3 and Quake 4?
One would think, because they just keep moving through the series. But I mean, I think ultimately what everyone would like to see is Quake 5. Ultimately, like, we've had the resurgence with Doom.
Yes.
It's been great.
Yep.
But Doom is Doom and Quake is Quake. And for anyone, I guess, our age that grew up with Quake 2, the step forward that even just the first Quake was over Doom was massive. But the step they took with Quake 2 was absolutely nuts.
Yes.
And I mean, that to me really was the first smooth operating 3D first person shooter that was widely played. It's so good. And you know, it started its life on PC. I think Quake 2 came to the original PlayStation
And N64, I believe.
N64 stands out because I think that was the only console that got Quake 1. It did also get Quake 2, but I think it was the only console that got Quake 1, which I believe I have sitting
By the way,
just over there.
I did not mention this Quake 2 remaster, re-release, whatever you want to call it, includes Quake 2 64 as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is like everything that's ever been Quake 2 is now just under one SKU on all of the digital platforms. So you can fire up your Xbox, your PlayStation. I don't know about Switch. Is it on Switch?
Yeah, it's on Switch also.
That's fun. Dude, 4-player split screen Quake 2 on your Nintendo Switch. That's too fucking cool. That's too cool.
Yes. I just have a feeling it's going to play like ass on Switch for some reason. But
I don't know, man.
I mean, hopefully not. It came out in the late 90s, so
I was going to say, it's a pretty old fucking game. I think Switch will fucking eat that game up.
It's cleaned up. It's very cleaned up. By that, to really date that game, I played it online on Microsoft Gaming Zone with a dial-up modem, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
You just had to slightly lead whoever you were rocket jumping.
Yep.
And it was just murder. So much fun. Yeah, so excited about Quake 2 coming back, and yeah, eventually
So cool.
I'll pick it up, probably for PC, because I think it feels wrong.
Did you see they are doing physical releases for Quake 2?
I'm not buying a physical release. I literally, like, right here.
Right.
I'm touching my CDs of Quake 2.
I was gonna say, you probably have it above your head already,
and all the expansions.
Right. So why would you need the PS5 version of
I
Quake
fucking
2?
don't. Yeah, it's
you definitely don't.
limited run. Like, the second they released it, they're like, and here's Quake 2 from limited run. I'm like, you fucking no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting close, because we've talked about this a little bit, that my time with physical games is coming to an end.
Yeah.
I'm definitely out on the next console generation completely. I will not be buying any more physical games. Probably for a reason different than a lot of people. I don't have room for another generation of fucking console games. I just don't. So
No, I don't think you do.
At some point, I've got to look at and take stock. I almost think, and this is completely off course. We'll get back on course here in a second. I almost think the last generation that I should entertain keeping physical media for is the 360 PS3 generation. And that everything after that, there's no point. I mean, the shit doesn't even have the games on it half the time. So, you know, going digital.
Well, and I also feel like as these generations of consoles have happened, right? Everything PS4 worth of shit that people want to play is still available on the current platform, and I think that would remain to be the case for PlayStation 6
Yeah.
or PlayStation 7. They're just going to live on the store forever now.
Yeah. The big thing for me is the physical medium essentially is already dead, because nothing I buy in a case for PS5 at this point is actually what you'll play when you sit down on your PS5 to play it.
Correct.
So, and same's true for PS4. So, you know, it's like, yeah, at some point it's just it's gotta stop. You can't keep clinging to the idea of it's going to be physical forever. Cause it's not. It's just, that's not how it's going to be. So, anyway, not buying Quake 2 again. I own it fucking 4 times already.
Fair enough. But that's the thing, is I feel like most of us probably already have it. And now you can just hit the update button and it's got a whole new fresh coat of paint.
Yeah.
That's
The new
fucking awesome.
expansion parts, what's really cool.
And the expansion in Quake 1 was great. I didn't play all of it, but I played most of it. It was pretty awesome.
Well, somebody's doing their re-releases correctly. Look at you go, Ed. Good job. Good job treating your storied IPs with respect.
Yep.
And selling it for prices that, frankly, are pretty fair, especially considering you're getting brand new content for the game that's over 20 years old.
I mean, the crazy thing about it, if they released it and said, "Hey, it's out and it's $20," we'd still be high-fiving each other over it. We'd be like, "This is a no-brainer. $20, you got a whole new thing. It's got multiplayer." Like, we wouldn't. I don't know about you. I wouldn't bitch at all. I'd be like, "Done. Here's my money."
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a fucking limited print copy of Quake 2 for $34.
Yeah,
you'll have to wait a year before you see it because it's limited run. But I digress, because this feeds right into my next topic perfectly.
Yep.
Treating your IP with respect, treating storied, famous games with the care that they deserve. It's time to talk a little bit deeper about Red Dead Redemption. And here's what I want to talk about with it. Because last week we kind of touched on it. It was fresh news. You know, the announcement came out on the day when our show already should have been published. So it's kind of tacked on the end, and I didn't really have time to sit and digest everything. I've had time to digest. And I hate being part of the status quo here, but it's time to be status quo. Rockstar, you're on fucking crack. Number one.
Yes.
You're absolutely on crack. Let's talk about this a little bit. So Red Dead Redemption will be out in a matter of days at this point, right? Isn't it coming out on the 17th, I believe? Release date. August 17th, yes. So for those not aware, Red Dead Redemption was a game that originally came out back in 2010, if memory serves correctly, on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. It is probably one of the greatest games ever made. Ever. Obviously, more people these days are familiar with Red Dead Redemption 2, which is heralded in the same esteem. And ironically, Red Dead Redemption 2, the sequel to it is Red Dead Redemption, the first game. I digress. So Red Dead Redemption's making its way to Switch and PS4 in a couple of days. And it's going to cost $50, which is only offensive considering what I'm about to say next. That they literally just picked up the game that was released on Xbox 360 and PS3, and moved it over to Switch and PS4, and that's what you're paying $50 for. Now, if you wanted to play Red Dead Redemption right now you wanted to play it, you could play it on an Xbox 360. You could play it on a PlayStation 3, or on your fancy schmancy new Xbox, you could go and buy it digitally for $30 and knock your socks off. And that version of the game is actually better than the version that's coming out because of licensing issues and issues of it just being a haphazardly done port that we are already aware of. So you will not only have the original complete masterpiece to play, but you will also save $20 by playing it on an Xbox. All of that together kind of doesn't set well with me. And furthermore, Rockstar was pressed about this, and they came out with a very just deadpan tweet of, this is what the market value suggests for this game. $50. So basically just said, fuck you. It's going to be $50 because we know schmucks are going to buy it. So here's my new stance. I am not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy it digitally. I'm not going to buy it physically. I'm just not going to buy it because guess what? I already own it. I already own it. I don't need to buy it. It's not any different from what I already have. So if I really want to play it, I'll grab my 360 disc that is right here, and I'll pop it into any of my Xbox consoles other than my OG original Xbox and sit and play it. Johnny, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, when the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake was announced and they released the trailer, everybody was up in arms and pissed off because it didn't look like they did anything. So, and then they have since said they delayed it, and then now we haven't heard anything about it, and it was like the end of that remake. How does Rockstar get away with this? Is it just because it's that storied of a franchise? Because I mean, I see that, and I see the price tag, and every fiber of my being says, fuck you. $50? $50. I mean, look, I know that the days of walking into the record stores is over, but this makes me think of how many times a band would go, here's our new remastered, and it's got we got the bonus tracks, and here's all the outtakes. Here's the deluxe version of this album, and it's whatever, $25 instead of $15. And if it's an album that you really like, you're like, fuck yeah, I got all this new shit, right? But what if the same record company went, look, it's Nirvana Nevermind. It's $20. And you're like, but there's $5 used ones over there in the bin. Yeah, but this is new in the plastic. It's $20. You got to have it. But it's $5 everywhere. I can go to a pawn shop and they'll have 8 copies of it. Why do I have to buy this one? I don't understand how they think that the market value, if they had gone in and just said widescreen, texture upresed, 60 frames a second, $50, I'd still think it was a little steep, but I wouldn't be skewering them. The fact that they're just going, here's our old ass fucking game that walk into a pawn shop, if you find it on the shelf. I mean, what does Red Dead sell for, Xbox 360?
I mean, if you walk into somebody's yard sale, you can buy it probably for a fucking $1.
Right.
I mean, it's not an uncommon game.
Right.
Hang on, I'll pull up the price charting value.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Probably $5, $6, maybe 10.
complete in box, $8.44.
Yeah. So the collectability of the game, if I want to go buy the original one to have on my shelf, is $8. And you've taken that exact same code, that exact same game, and put a PS4 sticker on it, put a Nintendo Switch sticker on it, and said that's now $50. That's a middle finger. To don't buy
It's
it.
just kind of weird.
Don't. This is bullshit. This is major bullshit.
And like, I'm not somebody to like cry and whine over a couple dollars, because I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, $50 doesn't mean shit to me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's one of those things of, I'm thinking about the company that's putting this out, and I'm thinking about, and this is the part that I want to stop and talk about. I'm thinking about the mindset of Rockstar, right? Rockstar has all of their hands working on Grand Theft Auto 6. And supporting the online for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption 2 had a wonderful online mode that the only thing you'll ever read about it is the players that loved it clamoring for, please God, can we please have a sniff of some new content? Meanwhile, Grand Theft Auto 5 is being supported like crazy. You know, Red Dead Redemption 2 is no slouch. It has like over 40 million copies sold. It's a very successful game. And yeah, you know, they just, I guess, looked at the numbers, the bean counters over at Rockstar, and they said, hey man, yeah, Red Dead 2 is making us some money, but nothing like Grand Theft Auto 6. We need to hire more people to work on Grand Theft Auto 6. Let's pull those team members over here so they can work on that. That's fine. Right. That's your prerogative. But then you need money to make these giant games. Like we learned in the redacted Sony thing, like Last of Us Part 2 costs like $230 million to make. That's going to be a fraction of what Grand Theft Auto 6 costs. So they need capital. So we get the Grand Theft Auto collection. The inarguably most important game series of the past 20 years. And quick refresher for those that don't remember it. It was only what, a year ago, I guess. It comes out and it's the buggiest, weirdest, most busted piece of shit on the planet. I think IGN gave Grand Theft Auto Collection a 5 out of 10. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas all on one cartridge, right?
Right.
How those are 3 of the most seminal and important games ever.
Yeah, ever. Yep.
And they were treated with such ill respect that the biggest reviewer in the world, the one many of you accuse of taking payola, eye roll, gives it a 5 out of 10.
Yep.
They didn't even do the retexturing themselves. They employed an AI to retexture the characters. And before the show started, I was talking to Johnny about this. And like, I don't know how many of you have stopped and looked at the Grand Theft Auto collection. It looks fucking hilariously bad.
Yeah.
All the characters look like weird Disney CG characters. And I mean, there was just zero care put into it. None at all. The lighting's all fucked up. Things clip all over the place. The game crashes. It's just a fucking mess. And it's Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. So the most important games in Rockstar's history. Literally.
I would argue the most important video game trilogy of all time. Those 3.
So they put it out. They charge you a lot of money for it because they're like, it's Grand Theft Auto. People are going to buy it anyway. Whatever.
Yep.
So fast forward to now, it's another cash grab for Rockstar. And they're putting even less effort into it this time, which is smart, actually, in my opinion. That is smart. Put less effort into it because the effort they put into it last time actually made their shit worse. So I'm actually for them doing less effort. However, you're doing less work. And the bitch costs.
And asking a bigger price tag.
How asinine is this? So I'm not going to not buy this game because I care that it's $50. I am going to not buy this game because what in the actual fuck? The only way you get them to start treating their IP with respect is by hitting them where it counts. And the only place any of these people care about getting hit is in their pockets. So if it comes out and it just is a complete flop, then we've done our job. I, however, don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to come out, and I think people are going to buy it like fucking crazy because it's Red Dead Redemption. Oh, I can finally play the sequel to Red Dead Redemption 2. I live and die by my physical game collection. I have to buy everything that fucking Limited Run or whoever puts out. You know, it's time to stop being a part of the problem, and us consumers are the biggest part of the problem because ultimately we enable everything that's used against us. And so I'm not just going to call this bullshit and then go out and buy it. I'm just straight up, I am not buying this. That's where I'm at with it. Johnny, any final thoughts on Red Dead Redemption and this re-release here?
I don't understand the laziness here. I mean, I've used this example before when there's half-baked remasters, half-baked remakes. It's like the modding community, the emulating community has already figured all this shit out. And if you just got one guy at Rockstar to go, get me on the phone, get me a meeting with these 10 guys and go, hey, you did that HD texture pack for Red Dead Redemption. We want to hire you to help us with the Red Dead Redemption, remaster. Hey, you're the one that figured out the widescreen and how to get it to where all the cinematics and everything played in widescreen, even though the game was originally not, that format. We want to hire you to help us do the remaster. Now, here's the thing is, these are guys that are not in the video game community. They're not going to pull a high dollar amount. They're going to be just excited to be a part of it. And you could just get them on a contract for what it would cost you. I don't know, your first 10,000 copies, 20,000 copies, you're covered. You covered that expense. There are already people that have made the Red Dead Redemption source code run really well, higher frame rate, better textures. All of that shit is worked out already. Just go on fucking YouTube and watch the most recent Red Dead Redemption emulated video where they've figured out this plus this plus this plus this gets me this. All they would need to do is just do that at the very minimum. Do something. And the fact that they just go, nope, we're not even gonna put lipstick on the fucking pig. Here's the pig. It's $50.
Yeah, and they're aware. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you saw this on Friday. Rockstar bought 5M and Redem, the modding companies behind the RPing for Grand Theft Auto 5. They bought them.
Wow.
To implement those systems into Grand Theft Auto 6. So it's like they pay attention. They just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. They're just trying to get you to buy some copies of their old stuff and and be happy.
It's just such a shame. The game deserves so much better, and if they had done even something close to what id Software did, where they went, hey, we know a lot of you are frustrated that you can't play Red Dead Redemption on your newer console. We got you covered. Here it is. We got widescreen support, 60 frames a second, and there's some slight texture up-resing, nothing crazy. It's $20. We'd all be celebrating and high-fiving
or
and
at
saying, "Oh my
least
god, I can't wait to play this
charge
game
the
again."
same $30 that it already costs on Xbox.
At least that.
You know?
But yeah, to go, here, we've done nothing. It's more money. Buy it. It's offensive, man. It's such a middle finger. It's so
You
fucking
can't be
rude.
putting out the 13-year-old game for twice as much as you're presently asking for the brand new one. Like, it's just, it's, please don't buy this game. Please skip on it on principle. Johnny, that brings us to our final segment of this week's episode. It is time for One Up. I have a slightly different kind of One Up here. So I was sitting on my couch a couple of days ago. I'm like, I'm stressed out. I don't feel like playing a stressful ass video game right now. Let me watch Metallica have a fucking meltdown. Because I was thumbing through Netflix and I'm like, I haven't watched Some Kind of Monster probably since it came out. And I'm like, I want to watch this again. Because like at the time, everyone was just like already pissed off with Metallica because Saint Anger was so fucking terrible. And they're like, the diehard fans were having to pretend it was good, but it was terrible. It's terrible. I mean, it's the worst shit ever.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Invisible Kid, am I right?
Oh my god.
Invisible Kid. That's what he did.
It's so bad.
So
also, by the way, the worst snare drum tone in the history of recorded
it's comedically bad. It's comedically bad.
It is the worst snare drum sound
So
ever.
I rewatched the documentary Some Kind of Monster. They've just gotten done doing S&M, I think it was, Symphony and Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
This is post Load and Reload era, which, say whatever you want about those records, they're fucking crazy good rock albums.
Agreed.
So they're all the way up here, all-time high, and Jason Newsted wants to play with some buddies and stuff because Metallica's doing nothing, and James Hetfield has a big meltdown about it. Jason Newsted just gives him the finger and says, "Fuck you guys," and I'm out. And that was that. And so Metallica goes back into the studio to write their next album, and this whole thing is just like watching the dumbest train wreck of all time. Like, it's so obviously stupid, everything that's happening, and they're also stupid that they can't see it. It's crazy to watch. They bring in this psychologist that's like with them all the time, and he's milking them for $40,000 a month and making shit worse the entire time. Bob Rock, who's just the biggest idiot on the planet Earth, basically goes, "Hey, you know what you've done for the past 20 years to become the most successful band of all time, which is James writes your music and then it's awesome. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's have everyone contribute equally." Watching Kirk Hammett try and contribute in a room with Lars Ulrich's ego and James Hetfield's eye rolls is the most hilarious thing ever. Like, they're taking lyrics from the fucking Psychiatrist and using them.
Oh, no, they're not.
It's such a train wreck. And the music's just fucking terrible the entire time. And, like, the first person to tell them the music's terrible is Lars Ulrich's dad. He comes in and Lars is playing him the new song, like, yeah, this is fucking great. We're fucking Metallica. This is so awesome. And his dad's just sitting there.
It's a pretty good Lars
His
impression.
dad's just sitting there on the couch, and he's like, "Is that one going to be on the record?" Yeah, that one's going to be on the record. That shouldn't be anywhere on this album. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. And then they all laugh and still put it on the record. It's like, what a train wreck, dude.
Ugh.
So at the end, it's like the stapled together footage of like Metallica concerts where like the fans are going crazy from them like playing a good song, but they just have like some kind of monster superimposed over it. So it looks like everyone's losing their mind for Saint Anger. It's like, it's so much fun to go back and watch.
Okay, I gotta go back and watch
It's
that.
so good. And like the only thing positive that happens the entire time is like once they get Rob Trujillo in the room, their bassist for like the past 20 years now.
Yeah.
And like Lars goes, "I'm gonna give you $1 million to join Metallica right now." And he's like, you can tell this guy can't even comprehend $1 million. He's just like,
Right.
Cool. And it just sort of grounds everyone that like, oh, what are we doing? So they like tell their psychiatrist to fuck off, and they just finish the record, and it's like fucking whatever. Let's just get on the road and tour again. And it's so weird. It's the cringiest crap ever. Like the whole thing is mega cringe.
Well, wasn't this like Hetfield's first attempt to like get over alcoholism and was like a total wreck because of that?
So like the documentary was just supposed to be a couple guys shooting them recording their new record. And then it turned into them shooting a documentary about the cringe fest of like that 3-year period.
Oh my God.
It's so Lars Ulrich is like such a piece of shit, and like he thinks everyone else is a piece of shit the entire time. And like, you know, I don't know like if you ever sat down and watched this and went, "I'm the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Oh my God." He just doesn't get it at all.
Right.
Like it's just completely lost on him.
No, Lars is clueless as to.
He's also the wealthiest member of Metallica. So how about that?
It's like even the people who love your band know that you're not great at drums.
Yeah, and he's a dickhead. He just
and we also are aware that you're an asshole.
It's like every argument is to try and defeat his ideas that are just going to make the band suck more. So definitely go back and watch. I'm glad you like my Lars impersonation.
Yeah, it's pretty
spot
good.
on. Thanks to Newgrounds back in the Napster days when he was constantly on there in different games where you like impale him in like spike pits and shit.
So my one up is I'm gonna circle back to Baldur's Gate 3. I have one actually pretty decently large gripe about Baldur's Gate 3, and it is the horniness of everyone on my party. Okay, now here's the thing. I've played Mass Effects. I've played Dragon Ages. I've played plenty of games where there is a party and I can choose who I want to have the romantic relationships with. And by the time I finally get there, it feels earned, right? Even in Mass Effect is like, you gotta say the right thing 4 or 5, 10 fucking times until finally like the love icon comes up and you're like, oh shit,
you can fuck it up too.
You can absolutely fuck it up.
You say one wrong thing and the whole thing's done.
So far in Baldur's Gate 3, I'm in the playthrough I'm playing with my wife. I'm 15 hours into the game. I have put forth 0 effort in fucking any of my party teammates, and 3 of them have openly just been like, "Hey, how you doing? Male, female, don't matter. They're down to
2023, baby."
This is not going to be an anti-woke rant, but this is going to be a.
Why not?
I mean, it doesn't need to be anti-woke, because what bothers me is not the pansexuality of it or the bisexuality of it. What bothers me is that these are characters that I did not put any effort into. Them.
Everyone wants to fuck.
So then what I'm getting now, instead of, instead of only the guys could fuck the girls or the girls could only fuck the guys, right? We're finally now to the point where, bisexuality is a thing, and you can have a female body with a male voice that identifies as a they in this game. And I think all of those things are great. I am not anti-woke at all. What does bother me is that every character on my party wants to fuck me, even though I've put forth no effort, no hints, nothing at all to try to engage in romantic relationships with them. And they're just like, hey, how you doing? And it just takes me out when I'm not, because there are a couple people on my party that, if the opportunity was there, if they said, hey, we should spend some more time together, I'd say, yeah, all right. Maybe we'll try this little avenue and see where the story goes here. No, everyone in this game wants to fuck me, and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's my biggest gripe about Baldur's Gate 3. Everything else about the game is great, but like the magician was literally down to clown like the first day he was back at the camp, and I was like, bro, I'd like literally just met you. Even if I went that way, like, it's creepy. You're coming on real hard right now.
It's still strange. And the reason why my first reaction to you saying, let's not make this a woke thing, and me saying, why not, is because I've read about this, and no one's real life is anything remotely like this, right? Speaking from experience, you don't walk up to every dude on the planet to check and see if they're down to clown. You know what I mean? You don't do that. And it's just weird. And so like when I'm sitting here thinking of, okay, if our intention was to represent everyone, right? We're not doing that here. We're really only representing one very small portion of people by behaving this way. And that's why I think like why I hate the word woke, why I think it's so fucking stupid, and like all of this, you're either on this side or you're on this side, and there's no one but, because neither side makes any fucking sense. It's like there's a way that people behave and there's a way that they don't.
Yeah.
And either extreme of it is some distorted fucking reality. Either everyone's some weird Christian soccer mom that wears a chastity belt, or you're just guzzling cum all day. Like, it's people pretend like there's no in between anymore.
I know, you're right.
So, I get it. And like with the wanting to have gender neutral options in the game, wanting to have different sexual orientations in play, that's great. But what I often find is that the people making these decisions are disillusioned people that think they just take it too far. It's not any different for anyone, really, is the point that everyone's with a brain has been trying to make. We just want everyone to be treated equally. So when you have this constant, threat of being fucked. I mean, imagine an asexual person trying to play this game. You know what I mean?
Well, no, and that's what I found so frustrating was like it didn't have anything to do with the bisexuality, the homosexuality, or any of that. None of that bothered me one way, shape, or form. It was only the fact that, in the previous examples I gave, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, you have to make a concerted effort in most of those examples to go, I want to have romantic relations with this character. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to impress them with this, and I'm going to need to impress them by doing that. And in this conversation that I'm in right now, that they're here, I know that if I say decision number 3, that they're not going to be happy with me, and that's going to be another tick. Like, in all those games, it's like, so-and-so will remember that, or so-and-so approves, or so-and-so disapproves. Baldur's Gate 3 has those things. When you're having an interaction and you back down from a fight, Lizelle will think you're a bitch and disapprove of that, right? this game should be filtered around those things where if you've done something that impresses that person and impresses that person and impresses that person, and then every time you're having a one-on-one conversation with them back at camp, you are going out of your way to get more personal and more personal and more personal. And that's the way you do it. That's how conversations work, that's how relationships are built, and that's how romance happens, is answering questions that become more and more and more personal, right? And if this is a character that I'm not pursuing romantically, there's going to be a line of questioning where I'm going to see that line and go, I wouldn't ask this question to someone I was not romantically interested in real life.
The other
So if me playing this role-playing game, I'm not going to ask that question. And then now this person isn't going to go, hey, here's my dick. What do you think?
The other complexity that this game sounds like it's missing out on is one that was present in the previous Dragon Age games, the previous Mass Effect games, and even Cyberpunk. I'll try and not be spoilery here in any way, shape, or form. But in all of those games, not everyone is down the clown. I love that terminology, Etherboard. They have their preferences, and you have to figure out what they are. You know, the romantic options in Cyberpunk. And what I think is so brilliant with that game is like it leads you along on either of the characters till you finally find out. You know, you finally, after all the conversations and stuff, you finally pop the question. And like you find out, oh no, I'm not into guys, or oh no, I'm not into girls, or oh, I'm into everything. Yeah, sure. Not everyone's built the same in those games.
Yep.
And even go back to like the first Dragon Age, you know, that was forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. So yeah, it's just kind of like, it's been weird with Baldur's Gate this first couple of weeks because the game picked up steam, no pun intended, on this. Like the whole bear fucking thing.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it can't be understated. That really lifted the interest in the game.
It was a huge marketing push for them. Yes,
and
absolutely.
You know, they're just leaning into that super hard. And it's nice that there's a wonderful game underneath of it, but it's like,
yeah,
how much of that shit, until it becomes detracting from the beautiful game that you have underneath? I don't know.
Well, and that's, you know, the shame of it is like, you know, I'm able to see what's going on and just see that like they probably just missed a couple barriers there, and that's really all it is. And you know, they just went, well, if everything's everything and people can say yes or no, what difference does it make? Just throw it in there. But the problem is, you know, my wife, who doesn't play a ton of video games, 2 people in our party she's now completely creeped out by. She won't fucking talk to them. Like they'll be like, hey, Asterion wants to talk to you. She's like, ooh, creeper. Ooh, no, I'm not talking to him. Like as soon as these 2 characters like threw themselves at her, she has no interest in interacting with them. And that's a shame, because I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, great storylines that could happen and plot lines that could be revealed.
Well, I think that's my overall point too, is if the relationships with all the characters that you interact with, if none of them are just simply platonic, then that's gotta be so fucking weird. You know, imagine Commander Shepard on the Normandy and he's fucked everyone on the ship. It's like, that just, what?
Yeah.
What in the what? I don't get it.
Again, it's my biggest gripe about a game that I'm thoroughly in love
it's something
with.
I've kind of been observing from the sidelines as I've been watching it on streams and stuff. I'm like, God, this game is horny as fuck.
It is horny as fuck. The game's horny as fuck.
On that stiff note, it's time to end this week's episode of the Power Gamer Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back again, of course, next week with another great episode for you to enjoy. Until that time, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Pollard.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip flop.
Ooh, yeah. Or